Welcome to Face the Facts. I should say welcome back to Face the Facts. This is a brand new sports program that we have for the community here in North Reading. My name is Nick Face, and my guest alongside me,
Chris Millett.
You may be thinking, you've seen me before. You have seen us before. We have been doing Face the Facts for quite a long time. We started in 2006 in the community of Reading, and now we're shifting gears a little bit, and we've come over to join you here at home in North Reading, and we hope you enjoy. We have a lot of exciting things to be talking about here in sports, and we're going to kick it off with talking about the Bruins. The Bruins were in the playoffs in this NHL season, and unfortunately, maybe some of you are crying at home still, but they lost to the Canadiens. Very, very disappointing.
I'm still crying.
So Chris and I are going to be talking a little bit about that to start off our show here, and like I just said, very disappointing.
They didn't show up in the series to me. Chara, I thought, he looked immobile. He just didn't look like he had the skill to skate.
You know, I think age is going to catch up to Chara soon. And when you think about that, as a Bruin fan, that's scary.
It is scary. They were playing him almost like 27 or 28 minutes a game. And
yep.
Watching him on TV, that's all he was doing is poke checking, and that's only going to go so far, but with the skill of the Canadiens, those go right behind.
There were so many things to look at from this playoff. You can start by looking from the Red Wings series. That was kind of a challenge for the Bruins. I didn't feel as confident as some people may have thought the Bruins were going to win that series.
I was surprised it went 5 games. I was surprised that they took it 4-1. But, I mean, hey, they showed up. They played like the Bruins, and they just weren't the same team in the Canadian series.
So we were kind of feeling good about ourselves after we beat the Red Wings. We just beat the Red Wings. They'd been in the playoffs for, I think, 16, 17 years straight, something like that. And the Red Wings had a lot of players that were injured. Then some of them came back at the very end of that playoff run that they had in that first round. And then it starts that whole rivalry with the Canadiens. And if you didn't know much about that rivalry until this series began, you know about it now.
It was classic. It was PK Subban and Thornton and going at
Water bottle squirting and
it was great. You know, I was surprised Thornton did not drop the gloves in the series, but hey, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, a lot of people have said that they were surprised there weren't as many fights.
Yep.
It was pretty clean in terms of Bruins fighting.
I got to say, that's been with the NHL playoffs as a whole this season. They're not letting them fight as much.
No.
As soon as that jab goes in, refs are right in there breaking it up. And it's hockey. Just let them fight. That's part of the playoff culture that some of the fans go there to see. And
do you almost think it's hurting the NHL from not allowing the fight?
I think it's disappointing the fans.
Okay.
And maybe that could result in some major things down the line. You're sitting at home, fight, and then the refs are just breaking them up. I mean, if the two players want to go, let them drop the gloves.
Yeah, I have to say I'm in the same boat. When you go to a game, there's nothing better than seeing somebody fight. I mean, I work with kids too through our programs that we have, and we don't encourage fighting with anything. But those are professionals that are on the ice. They're there to attract an audience or to get people in the seats and make hockey exciting. At a youth sport, you want to just be able to have the kids learn the fundamentals and learn how to play better as teammates and all that. It's a different game, NHL versus youth sports. So fighting in that, I like to see that as a fan.
And I mean, for me, I think that's one of the major reasons Sean Thornton is in the lineup every
that's
night.
the one reason he has a job,
right?
If you kind of think about it.
And we saw him in Game 7. He was the last one off the ice. I think he was savoring that last moment. I think he knows that he possibly could be gone and not put on the Bruins jersey for another season.
It is kind of sad. It's kind of sad to think about the players that the Bruins may not be welcoming back next season. And that really starts right now, the process. They've met with a few that said, give me a couple weeks. Peter Chiarelli met with a couple players. In case you don't know at home, he's the general manager of the Bruins. But he's going to meet with players very shortly and have to make those difficult decisions.
Right. I mean, if Thornton goes and Lucic is not dropping the gloves as often anymore, I mean, you really got no one else to. I mean, Boychuk here and there. But
Yep.
I was very impressed with Carl Soderberg's play this playoffs.
If I was to say that who was one of the bright spots from the playoffs this year, it's Carl Soderberg. Mm-hmm. There's a guy that the Bruins signed last year. Really didn't know much about him. He got in a little bit of game time. But I think he developed into the system as the year went on, and he could be counted on as a solid player.
And I think he understands the Bruins culture. Yeah. In 3, 4, and 5, games 3, 4, and 5 of the Montreal series, you saw him fighting. You saw him going in and getting that extra push and hit on the Canadian player. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love to see, and I'm sure many Bruins fans love to see, that true Boston Bruin culture. Just, getting in there and winning the battle and wanting to win for the city and the team.
Yep. Well, I couldn't agree anything more on that. I think there's so many questions that need to be answered right now, not just to get back, to beat the Canadiens again. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, this season was a failure. They should have been back in that Stanley Cup.
I thought so. I mean, they win the President's Trophy.
Yep.
By what, like 7 or
hands
8
down
points or something
hands
like that?
Down won that. Almost in my thought, I thought the Bruins peaked too soon.
Right.
They were playing so well in late February, early March, and everything. And I think they just went down the mountain.
And that's sometimes not good for a team to get that President's Trophy clinched so far like into the regular season with so many weeks to go.
Yep.
And you're looking forward to that playoffs, you're looking forward to that home ice advantage, and we saw that in the last few regular season games. They didn't have that extra step and extra energy that they usually have.
Well, now it's been 2 years in a row. Last season we had the Bruins in the Stanley Cup versus Chicago, and they lost a few steps as that series went on. We saw that more now this season.
I think so.
And
yeah.
I think, like you said when we kicked off this hockey segment we were discussing, it's the big man. It's Z.
It wasn't Chara to me. It looked like I was seeing a 45-year-old, 50-year-old retired. It just was...
It looked like Chara was almost Matt Barkowski, and we'll get into that in a second.
Right.
But Chara's supposed to be the best defenseman in the NHL.
Right.
Is the clock ticking?
I think he only has one, maybe two.
Well, here's another question. Is
maybe
Chara
2 years.
still considered a first-line defender?
That's what when I saw that he was playing 27, 28 minutes a game, that was a shocker to me because he wasn't producing, he wasn't scoring goals, he wasn't throwing those big hits out and getting into the faces of the Canadian players. And you look at me, I would rather see Torrey Krug, who's got those young legs, or Dougie Hamilton, who's not afraid to throw the body. Those young 21-year-old players who can hang with the Canadian speed and skill that they have.
I do have to say the one good thing that we saw from the playoff is now that our younger guys have that experience of what a playoff is like now.
Right.
Even though we lost, they got the experience that they needed. Now, I just hit upon a name that probably some people in Boston Bruin fan land may want to consider trading or never seeing on their roster ever again, and that's Matt Barkowski. You can't count on him as that even third-line top defender.
Right, and I think, he played some time down in Providence this year. He was an ad this year when Adam McQuaid and Seinberg went down, but he's not even third line to me right now. I think when McQuaid and Seinberg come back, he definitely drops down to Providence until he can shine there and to prove that he's a true
he needs to develop.
Defenseman.
Absolutely, and I think that you saw that depth really tested in this whole playoff. You hit on Seidenberg. We find out after the series is over that he would have played Game 1 versus the Rangers if they got to the next round, which leads me to believe that he could have suited up to play in this series.
Right.
Would you have done it? Too risky? What do you think?
You never know which game might be your last.
Yep.
That's Game 7 against the Montreal Canadiens. You know it's going to be a big one. If Seinberg could go, he gives you the thumbs up. I think you absolutely give him the sweater to put on and let him get on the
I
ice.
think that he was chirping and he wanted to play.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the doctors were holding back. I'm just thinking, it long term.
Right.
They're trying to say, you know what, Dennis, it's not in your best interest to go out while you could go out and blow your knee out again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it was amazing that his name even came up to be considered to play
Yeah.
in the second round. That after a massive injury that he suffered at the later part of the season.
Right, and that was shocking to me. But again, you see that with some players, as the playoffs progress and that Stanley Cup ring gets closer, they want to be on the ice. They want to be fighting with their team. They want to be just getting that W at the end of the day to move on and get that Stanley Cup ring.
Now, speaking of moving on, the Canadiens moved on. Unfortunately, like we just told you here, and without the play of PK, and I'm very sad. I really don't want to say PK Subban on this set, but I have to. PK Subban and Carey Price won that series for the Canadiens.
It's true. It's true.
And hitting posts, by the way. We didn't even get into that,
yes.
but talk about their mentality and their play a little bit.
I was shocked Carey Price played as good as he did. Shocked. But
was it him or was it luck? And was the luck bad luck from the Bruins?
I'd say a majority of the Bruins shots were not in the corners of the net. They were mostly right at Carey or with anything that he just had to make a leg save or something like that. They weren't very challenging to him. But I also think that falls back on the Bruins. They were trying to be too finesse with the puck and too skilled, and they were waiting for that right shot instead of just putting it on the net, maybe waiting for a deflection. And when they took those big-time shots, they were going off the post. They were just inches away from tying the game or potentially even winning it.
Yeah,
It was heartbreaking at home.
The worst play that I saw as a fan watching the game was when PK Subban came out of the box. I believe it was Game 4.
Yep.
And he went in and he scored right on Tuukka. And that, to me, showed the Bruins were not ready for any sort of game there. Because the goalie there, Tuukka, I don't like to blame Tuukka for this season at all. Tuukka should be the last person you want to blame. He played great. Unfortunately, he got outplayed by Carey Price. But you got to bang your stick to notify your defense that, PK is coming out of the box, or whatever player it is coming out of the box. Put your stick down to tap so they know, all right, I got to get back so I can defend and prevent any shots from going on me or scoring. Well, Subban scored. And I believe that game ended like a 3-0 or something like that.
Yeah, 3 or 4-0.
And it was one of those sick feelings because he had been a thorn in their side.
Right.
And that was only Game 4. So he had already been that thorn at the beginning of the season, at the beginning of the series. And then it turned into Game 7 and all. And
I was scared as soon as his stick touched the puck. And on the power play, he was lethal with his shots from the blue line. It was just, he's one of the
there's no question about it that, Alex Rodriguez was probably enemy shot number 1 in here. There might be a couple others that you might name. Maybe Peyton Manning's name comes up, or even Kobe Bryant maybe for the Lakers, for a Celtics-Lakers kind of rivalry. But if PK Subban isn't on your number 1 rival list right now, got to check your guts there to see if you're a real Boston sports fan, because he's right up there on that list now.
And I, aside from being the Bruins fan, he's one of the best hockey players in the league right now.
He is.
I think he's 24. He's got so much to grow and so much skill, so much potential that it's going to be amazing to see what he does.
I even watched it from his press conference at the end of the game. You can see how articulate and proper he is with talking to the media. He was whatever it is, he was honest with them. He told the story like he should.
Right.
You can tell he's a respected player. You might not like him when he's on the ice, but as an individual, he seems like he's a pretty good guy.
And you saw him. He wears the C on his chest for the Canadiens with pride. Every time they scored, he'd be jumping into the pile when they scored, and he just had that passion about him that I personally like in a player to see.
You want players like that. You do. You do. We're going to actually come back to the Bruins a little bit later as we have a special guest that will be joining us from Actually, the program that I run is called Sports Zone 101. I didn't even mention that name yet. I apologize. That's where you may also recognize me from. And each week, we're going to be able to provide you with a special guest from our program to come on and talk sports with what we so much as call experts. I guess we're the experts, we'd like to say. We're going to shift gears, and we're going to come back to the NHL a little bit and talk a little bit about who we think the Stanley Cup may go home with, and look at a little bit more in-depth on maybe what the Bruins should do for next season and who really was to blame. But right now we're going to talk about the Red Sox, and you can tell from the background behind there that the Red Sox are very popular and a lot of people are passionate about them. They just came off their World Series, which was kind of a surprise. We didn't really see that coming.
We'll take it.
But now we're in a situation here where it's getting a little dicey. When you roll the dice, the hits aren't coming.
Right.
The hits could be coming from your offense. It could be from maybe your pitching staff not stepping up. Could be from booting the ball and fielding it not so well. Or it also could be from no stolen bases much this season too. So overall, we're not at the midpoint yet. We're at about a quarter of the season is done. What you find from baseball right now, especially in the American League East, is it's up for grabs. Really anybody. The worst team is the Rays with 5 games back as of today. The Red Sox are 3 games out. You have the Toronto Blue Jays a game out, and only a game and a half, and only a 0.5 of a game out of the Baltimore Orioles. The Yankees are surprisingly at the top with so many injuries.
I think the Yankees are going to drop fairly soon with CC Sabathia going down. Their pitching staff is...
How many hits can they take?
Exactly. CC Sabathia's out. Ivan Nova, Michael Pineda. You look
Carlos Beltran has some elbow problem now.
Right.
That's a huge loss.
I was looking at their depth chart. It's just...
They're counting on AAA guys.
They are.
And when you do that, we've seen it with the Red Sox maybe from 2010 or other years. You can't survive a whole 162-game season.
Right. We saw Daniel Nava a few years back. He was good a game, like a week or two, but he just can't hang with the MLB players.
So overall, the big question here on what we're going to ask, are you surprised at how they've played so far? Is this a surprise?
I think it's a surprise offensively.
Okay.
You look at their batting order, Petey, Victorino, Ortiz, Napoli. Where's the run support? Besides Ortiz, he's the only one showing up.
I'm glad you brought that up because Ortiz did release a statement, and that happened earlier, I think. It could have been Sunday. It was Sunday after the game. Where's the protection? Where is the protection for Ortiz? Napoli?
No, he's not performing.
No. And if the Red Sox think Napoli's going to carry them, he can't. He's too hot and cold. I like Napoli as a player, and I may take some criticism towards what I'm saying here with Napoli, but he's not consistent. Yep. I can't stand the players that go up to the plate. He's swinging for the fence no matter what it is. He has a very hard time cutting down his swing and just getting a hit and getting on base.
And I think one of those other inconsistent players is Johnny Gomes.
Sure.
Again, swinging for the fence.
Hit or miss.
Fences 50% of the time. And base hits, doubles are going to win the game. Just get those runs that your pitching staff needs and support the pitchers. These pitchers are going out and letting up maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 runs through 5 or 6 innings.
That's good enough to win, right?
That's a pretty good outing in my mind.
We call that a quality start. In case some of you don't know, 3 runs or less is typically a quality start. The Red Sox are right there.
They're right there. And I was watching the game Sunday night, and Peavy, you could see on the mound when he'd let up a run or 2, he was just... you could see almost that thought process of...
Here we go again.
We might not get that back.
Yeah.
Those runs are so big, and it shouldn't be that big. They're the Red Sox. They've got some power. They've got Pedroia. They've got Victorino. They've got these big guys who they signed for offense performance.
Who should be getting the job done.
Exactly.
One of the things that the Red Sox were trying to push this season was the youth. Develop the youth. Bogarts at short. Middlebrooks at third, Bradley Jr. in center field.
You got Brock Holton there. And
what's their grade? If you were to grade them right now on youth production, what do they get? Do we be harsh?
I give them C+,
Okay.
B-.
Oh, you're more generous than me.
I'm giving that B- just for Xander Bogaerts' play
Okay.
in the playoffs last year.
Yep.
I also give it for Will Middlebrook's performance when he's hot, but when he's off, he's off. And I mean, he's unhealthy now. He's injured.
Yep.
And that doesn't do your team any good at the end of the day.
No, it doesn't. My grade, I'm harsh. I'm sorry. I have to be harsh with it. It's a D. The D's coming because the Red Sox have a problem with thinking their farm system is the biggest and the best and our players are untouchables.
Right.
Well, guess what? Bradley Jr., to me right now, is nothing more than probably some of our fans at home remember the name Dwayne Posey or a Darren Lewis or a Damon Buford type. I'm not seeing it from him.
And there was so much hype in the offseason. Oh, Bradley Jr.
We don't need Ellsbury. Go away, Ellsbury.
They were selling jerseys for $30 for Bradley Jr., 44, and it's where is he? Where's the Jackie Bradley Jr. that I was reading articles?
You know what this problem is? I was just thinking. We're gonna think funny for a second. You know what this? It's almost we have a new curse now. You know what the curse is of? What? Jenny Dell. Here's the reason why I say that is because Jenny Dell used to be the sideline reporter for the Red Sox last season. The Red Sox decided to not retain her for this coming season, so they have new field analysis people, reporters. Would you have traded Will Middlebrooks and kept Jenny Dell? I think I would have. Just saying. But I'm just thinking as a youth thing.
Right.
Was talking about Middlebrooks. I think his time is done. I think the clock is expired. I think they're done because we found out today Stephen Drew is back with the Red Sox.
Where's that sign in the offseason? They knew that they were going to be
This is going to be debated on ESPN and everything forever now.
They knew that they were going to be very weak and very youthful on the left side of the infield.
Yep.
So why? I get that he's maybe a 250 hitter, maybe a 275 at times.
Yep.
But you got to keep him defensively. You got to keep him for his knowledge of the game and to just mentor those youth players that are so-called your big studs who are coming up.
So many players wanted Stephen Drew to return from last year's team. If you think about it, last year he had a horrible playoff. Horrible in the playoffs. His average was pathetic. But bottom line was he did give us outstanding defense and saved so many runs. And if you think about the Red Sox struggles this season, they're hitting fine against left-handed pitching. The left-handed pitching's been great. They can't touch a righty to save their life. They can't. So Stephen Drew being a right-handed hitter should be good enough, I would think, to get some kind of production.
I would too. I mean, I don't know what goes through the thought process, but obviously they didn't keep him for some reason. I think his performance in the playoffs could have been a big reason, but then again.
I'm kind of surprised that they caved in at this point.
Exactly.
At this point to sign him. When I saw the news today, I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's very
odd. Why now?
It's an odd time of the season.
It's a panic move.
Right. I think there is some question. And Brock Holt, I didn't even hear the guy before he came up.
Yep.
From, I think it was the Paw Sox. And
he's not even a third baseman. He's a second baseman.
And
they're playing him out of position.
We could go on all night for this.
It's the thing with you throw your hands up in the air. You wave them like you just don't care. But what you think about that is there's so much almost frustration from fans and what they're doing. With Stephen Drew coming here, what it shows me is they've just about had it with the season so far.
Yeah, and again, I think, and all the Sox fans, if you follow them for a longer time, you know that they're going to go on a slump. All-Star break around mid-July. They go on that summer slump. And like you said, it's a panic move. They need to get those wins and runs now before they know that they potentially and probably are going to go on that slump in the summer.
I'm just thinking about the Drew thing. I'm just like, Stephen Drew is basically caving into the Red Sox right now because the Red Sox are trying to say, you know what, we're not going to give you the qualifying offer. In the long run, in case you don't know the story, he wanted qualifying offer in Major League Baseball is $14.1 million. That's what he was trying to get. The Red Sox wanted to cut costs by putting Bogaerts at short. What I think what's going to happen here is now Bogaerts is moving to third, and Drew's going to short. Do you see Drew playing third? I don't.
No, I think it's obvious that Drew's gonna play short and Bogaerts will shift, and then obviously Brock Holt might get bumped down to the Possock, which I love.
Yep.
And maybe that potentially will solve some problems. I don't think it's gonna solve their offensive problems that are the majority.
This is a depth sign. It shows you don't have any depth.
Right. And maybe we'll see them trade for an offensive player come this trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
They need it.
They need it. They big time need it. Welcome another special guest to our lovely little studio set here. This is Stevie DiOrio from Sports Zone 101. How are you?
Good.
I wanted to ask you a question before we started, and my question was, what do you like about Sports Zone so much? What do we do? What do we do at Sports Zone? What do you like?
To tease around the coaches.
You like to tease the coaches?
Yeah.
No, what do we like to play at Sports Zone? Maybe for games or something.
Hockey, baseball,
Yep.
pickle.
How about dodgeball?
Yes.
You like dodgeball too? What do you get when you leave a program with us? What do you get to choose? What do you get to choose? You get to take home with you?
A jersey card.
Maybe
and
sometimes.
Packs.
Okay. And those are can be sometimes valuable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you enjoy being there? Is it fun?
Yes.
Good. Am I nice? Good. I might look mean on TV.
No,
I'm kidding.
I feel poor for you because you always get hit in the bat with.
Oh, yes. I got a little injury today at work, but it's okay. I'm still alive and was able to be here for tonight. Well, we're here with Stevie, and we're here with Chris Millett. Again, Chris was on our original Face the Facts. Just a little brief overview in case you haven't seen the program before. We started in 2006, as a matter of fact, and we went all the way up till about 2011, and I decided to take a little break because our program, Sports Zone, was going so well. And I'm not coming back because our program's not doing well. I'm coming back because I missed it, and it's a good opportunity for people like Stevie and people like Chris to come on and just talk about sports in a really fun sort of format. A little different than your ESPN or Comcast or NESN TV shows. We were talking about the Bruins earlier. I know you were in the studio audience listening to what we were saying. And we did not ask this question. Who do you blame for the loss? What do you think, Stevie? Chris and I was saying that maybe Chara's getting too old. Or do you think it had to do with his injury he had?
Or we can blame Brad Marchand.
Well, you could blame a lot of people. I mean, that's another player you could say. He didn't have anything, didn't offer anything to the puzzle.
There was a wide open net versus the Red Wings.
Mm-hmm. You got to make it, right?
Yeah, I know.
Not just the Red Wings. He had chances against the Canadians, too. And he failed.
Yeah.
A lot of people failed.
And a lot of the players made statements before Game 6 and 7 that, you know, I haven't scored a goal so far. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do my best to score one tonight.
Crazy. Yeah.
And, you know, they made that statement. It's great. Looking forward to seeing them get some goal support. And they didn't show up that game like they said they were going to.
Nope.
You know,
Nope.
That passion we were talking about, it just wasn't there. And that's just poor.
Peter Chiarelli, general manager. He's the man that's supposed to put the best players on the ice to perform. Blame pie?
I don't think so.
No?
And I don't think it has much to do with the front office.
Okay.
You know, they bring Claude Julien.
Okay.
He's made it to the playoffs.
Yep.
I think 7 or 8 out of the 7 or 8 times he's
Yep.
been here. Every year he's been the Boston Bruins coach. He's gotten them to the playoffs.
Sure.
That's what the city wants. I think that's what the front office wants, and they want those Stanley Cup rings, and he's getting them there. And I think that once he gets them to the playoffs,
Yep.
a lot of the power shifts to the players performing in every game of that series.
I'm going to hit on one thing from Chiarelli. I don't really want to blame him for it, but trade deadline. He failed.
Yeah.
He was unable to bring in a solid puck-moving defenseman. Andre Mazzaros, no. Let me say it one more time. No. Did not work out well. That was a move that really never should have really happened at the time because Mazzaros really never played. He played a couple here and there when Miller was out at the beginning, I think the Red Wing series and things. The main loss here was you had to find somebody in that Seidenberg category. I think what we saw here in the playoffs was it came back to bite them without having Seidenberg.
Right.
You didn't have somebody there.
Matt Barkowski and Miller. I mean, Miller played fairly okay. Barkowski and that. And I think it's the injuries to, like we talked about a little earlier, McQuaid and Seidenberg, that they didn't have those caliber players. They didn't make a move to get one of those caliber players that they were going to need to get Stanley Cup.
Absolutely. Final question for the Bruins segment. How do they get back to the Stanley Cup Finals? But most importantly, win. Stevie, what do you think? What has to change? Do you change anything? You leave the team together? Or does something drastic have to happen?
They need to do it like 2011, what they did in that regular season when they won versus the Canucks. When they versed Tampa Bay, they went to the Stanley Cup. You needed it to be like that season.
So my question for you would be, do you keep the same guys together or do you bring in a couple new faces? Do we need new players?
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a particular player in mind that we should go after? Who do you think? Who would fit into the Boston Bruins? Do you want to think about it and I'll ask Chris?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't I do that? How do we get back to the Stanley Cup Finals and win?
I think they need a Marchand type of player. They need a speedy and quick.
How about we just need Marchand? Easier said than done, but
it'd be great if he was Marchand 100% of all the games. But I think if you bring in a player of his quality and his caliber, with his quickness and speed and puck control, I think first line and second line would be lethal. I think that, I mean, they got outplayed. The Canadiens had speed and skill that they essentially beat the Bruins with. I don't think it had anything to do with, I mean, the goalies. The goalies they shined. Tuukka and Carey, they shined. I think it's that skill. They need skill.
What are you thinking of the player?
I think another Chara.
Another Chara type. Okay, I like that.
Quickness, going side to side. Quickness, not like our old Chara. We need someone who's fast, who can go to side quick.
Okay. So somebody of that caliber. So I'm going to give you a homework assignment for after the show. I want you to think about what player could be like a Tuukka. I mean, be like a Chara. Think about that. We might not know the name tonight, but maybe we can think about it maybe on another program that we do and really figure out who.
Like Duncan Keith. Duncan
Keith. There's a name.
Yeah.
There's a name.
And I think there might be some names down in Providence that you could toss around. Maybe Dougie Hamilton's got that Chara qualities about him.
Maybe he's taking the next step. I had a couple others on my question thing that we just did for the Stanley Cup Finals. I said resign Jerome McGinley. He's a year older, but I think you should bring him back.
I think
he fit into the system. The system of Bruins hockey. That worked out well. Trades. There's an interesting one. Who, if you were going to trade somebody, who would it be? And why would you do it? Would you trade somebody to mix it up?
Immediately, Krejci pops into my mind.
Would somebody want him, huh?
Yeah. I mean, that's just because his poor, he didn't show up.
Basically, what I have on my sheet is I have the three players that I thought were the poorest of the bunch, which was Marchand, Lucic, and Krejci. What could that get you? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that right now, but those are definitely three of the people that were probably going to take the biggest blame pie piece in here for the Bruins losing.
I think it's Rick Nash.
Rick Nash. There was a name that the Bruins almost tried to sign, but we got to remember something with the signs here. If you sign somebody or trade for somebody, cap space. The budget might not be able to get a Rick Nash as much as we may want him. or have enough money to be able to get these players. That's the one. One of the disadvantages with the cap system in all of sports is you might want this player, but he may not fit into the whole lovely family of the finance
You might
game.
see that tonight in the NBA lottery, and might talk about it a little later. The Celtics may or may not be able to trade for a certain player due to their cap space.
Yep.
Or they might just have to limit themselves to one more stud, one more MVP maybe caliber player due to that cap space.
And we're going to talk about that NBA draft in just a moment. But before we wrap up hockey, we have the two series going on right now. We have the Kings and the Blackhawks and the Canadians and the Rangers. If you're going to take a pick who you think is going to win and why. So, Stevie, we'll start with you. Kings and Blackhawks. Who's winning the series? How many games and why?
I think the Kings.
Okay.
They just have a good, solid offense.
Mm-hmm.
Good, solid goalie.
Okay.
Last game, game 1, 3-1 win for Chicago.
Yep.
Corey Crawford was good in net, but Jonathan Quick needs to be more accuracy. He's just not getting the saves we want to see.
Okay. I think that was a great statement. Yeah. I actually have the Kings going to win the Stanley Cup. If I was going to be picking somebody, I would be picking the Kings. I'm just telling our audience there.
Personally,
who do you like?
I see the Blackhawks repeating.
Okay.
They find a way.
Blackhawks to me right now are like the Red Wings from the 90s. They just won all the time. And I think that this team that they've assembled with the Blackhawks, I mean, we saw it last year with the Bruins when they played. Tough team. Mm-hmm. Gritty team. Gets it done kind of team. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you on the Blackhawks. I think we'll see Blackhawks Kings. I'm sorry. I think we'll see one of those teams in there. This is a tough series, Kings and Blackhawks. It really is. But one of them has to play the Canadians and Rangers. It's weak. To me, those are 2 weaks versus 2 strong.
You know, it would be great if the Bruins were in the Canadian spot and we saw that repeat from last year. The Bruins, Blackhawks.
Yeah.
How great and how much rivalry would come back from that?
That would be pretty nice to have. Pretty nice.
I was looking forward to that. Not gonna lie.
I saw the Blackhawks as the thing. I'm like, Blackhawks, Bruins again. Again, I think hockey would have loved to see that again too.
Me too. And I mean, you look at the Rangers. They're outplaying the Canadiens.
They are. They are.
That's not an equal
And now
series.
with Carey Price out for this at least next round, seems like the Rangers are going to get it. Mm-hmm. But truth be told, we don't know. We thought the Bruins were going to win, but it didn't happen. So we'll see how all that plays out in this round for the Rangers and the Canadians. As we continue to move along here on the show, I want to hit upon the Patriots just very quickly on their NFL draft. The first round, they decided to take Dominique Easley. He was a defensive lineman from Florida. They took him the 29th pick in the draft. In the second round, they take Jimmy Garoppolo, the quarterback from Eastern Illinois, and he was the 62nd pick in the draft.
Yep.
As on a whole, what would you give the Patriots for a draft grade? What do you give them?
You go first.
Jonathan Zell.
No, what would you give them for a grade? A, B, C, D, F?
F.
You give them an F. Why? What were you looking for in the draft?
We want people who can run fast like Wes Welker.
Okay, so you were looking for a receiver
Yeah,
or a tight end.
and like Gronk.
Okay.
And we want another player like Vince Wilfork.
Yep.
We need all of our players back. That's how we lost versus Denver.
Most surprising thing that I saw in the draft is we didn't draft a tight end.
I think that was a key need that they went into this draft, and a lot of the experts said they need to go after a tight end. They need to go after a tight end in the first 3 rounds, maybe even first and second round. And that wasn't even answered through all 7 rounds.
Right.
I don't know what they were thinking. I think there's a lot of uncertainty with Gronk and your wideouts and your depth chart going from there. But I think that they definitely needed to draft a tight end.
What I'm most surprised here even is in the first round you take Dominique Easley, who's coming off an ACL tear, not once, but twice.
Yeah.
What are you doing here? Did we need a defensive lineman this bad? I mean, granted, if he's not hurt, he has the capability to be a top 10 player here. What do you think?
Why would we get an injured player
in the draft?
Yeah, when we just started the draft.
That's a wonderful question. I'd love to know the answer to. And do you have an answer?
I think that they were looking for the potential when Dominique Easley is fully healthy.
Yep.
To have that 1-2 with him, Chandler Jones. You got Vince Wilfork coming back if he's 100%.
And there's another question.
Right. And I think that they're just looking potentially. And to me, you don't waste a pick in the first round.
Sure.
You just have that question mark sit next to his name. You don't waste that. That's more 5th, 6th, maybe even 4th. It's not a first rounder.
Yeah, I was very surprised with this, but I think the most, again, like I said, was picking that Dominique Easley at the first round. But the number one thing I'm looking at here is there's too many question marks.
It is, yep.
Aaron Hernandez has really hurt this team in so many ways, it's not even funny. Gronk being out has really hurt. The receiving core has been abysmal. Danny Amendola can't stay healthy. You got Julian Edelman who gets a concussion every week. I mean, the linebacker situation, you got Mayo who's been hurt. When's it going to stop?
They didn't answer. They drafted Jeremy Gallon out of Michigan with the 244th pick, 7th round.
Michigan. Oh, Tom Brady must know him. Excuse me. Excuse me. There's our savior.
But, exactly. Answer the tight end and wide out question before you draft the injured Dominique Easley, who's got a big question mark next to his name.
Sure.
Don't waste a first-round pick on Dominique Easley.
Or don't waste a second-round pick on a quarterback. Let's be honest here. I think Tom Brady has a couple years left.
I think maybe even.
You think more?
Next year may be his last year.
Okay, that's what you're thinking on that? Okay. I think that wasting Garoppolo here is just speechless. If you don't think Ryan Mallett is decent, then trade him to Houston. What's the delay?
And there was a lot of question during the draft that they were going to deal Mallett to Houston or a team that was in need of QB, but they didn't.
Yep.
They draft Jimmy Garoppolo, and when I saw him out of Eastern Illinois, I was like, Jimmy who? It was like one of those, I hope he turns out to be a fantastic quarterback. I just don't know.
There's so many don't knows, aren't there? A lot of question marks, I would say. I heard you before we started the show, Stevie, that you were happy with Johnny Manziel being drafted by the Browns, and you want him as a Patriot. What do you think Johnny Manziel has as a quarterback? Do you think he's going to be good?
He has quickness.
Okay.
He can run the ball seriously good. That's what Tom Brady does. When there's no open people, there's a wide open lane, there's a guy coming to sack you, he throws the ball away. He doesn't go for the run. We need a running quarterback to go through the lane, get the touchdown, and that's what Tom Brady does not do. And if Tom Brady has one more year left, maybe, we have Johnny Manziel. We have a good quarterback for Johnny Manziel.
So you're banking high on Mr. Manziel, not Howie. Excuse me. No deal or no deal here. We're talking Johnny Manziel. You think he's going to be pretty good?
Yes.
Okay. I'm very interested to hear you say that because some people think he may have been a bust or may have not been up to the potential.
And he draws a lot of fans. You saw the Browns.
Is it Tebow in the making again? We're gonna have to find out.
I think we're
coming to an amusement park.
We'll have to wait and
to
see.
your location. Coming soon.
I don't see Johnny Manziel being a top 10, top 5 QB in the near future.
Yep.
But hey,
so he's going to have to adapt to the system and learn. Because he's signed by the Browns right now. They're saying he's the backup. All right, they're going to give as much chance they can to the old Patriots quarterback. Who was the Browns guy now? He got hurt.
Was it Whedon?
No, it wasn't Whedon.
Number 17.
It was, I'll think of his name soon. I'm sorry that I don't know his name. But the former.
With a G.
they're going to end up having him start their season for the Browns. Shifting gears, we're almost at our wrap-up point here on our show. The NBA, very exciting tonight if you're a Celtics fan. Ping pong balls. No, I'm not talking about paddles and this sort of, playing the game. I'm talking about tonight's the night here if you're a Celtics fan on the Celtics lottery. The lottery pick is tonight. The Celtics have a very good chance here at getting maybe in the top 3 picks here. But overall, the NBA lotteries tonight, the chances of the Celtics getting the first pick in the NBA draft is 10.3%. How it goes right now is the Milwaukee Bucks own the best chance at getting the first pick, which is a 25%. Philadelphia 76ers have a 19.9% chance. The Orlando Magic have a 15.6%, and the Jazz have a 10.4%. The Jazz and the Celtics were kind of neck and neck with their season right there.
Yeah.
The reason the Jazz have a 1-point advantage over that is basically the wins and loss category. That had to do with points and all that loveliness of math.
And hey, wherever the Celtics fall, they might not even be drafting a player.
What are you thinking tonight? What's going to land?
Personally, I hope for stability.
Yep.
That they deal the pick to Minnesota.
Okay.
And pick up Kevin Love.
What do you think? I know you're not the biggest of basketball fans, but what are you feeling?
I think they could get Chris Bosh.
Oh, a Bosh. What do you
Chris
think of
Bosh.
that?
I don't know if they're ready to split up the big 3 in Miami.
I don't know if they're either. If Miami goes
Michael
ahead
Jordan.
and wins, if Miami goes and wins another championship again, no way. They keep that assembled crew together.
But Kevin Love averaged 26.1 points this year and almost 13 rebounds. That's the big...
One of the things, in this draft, people oh, we should get Wiggins or we should get, Parker and all these different people here. They haven't adapted to the NBA, folks. You have a proven star here, Kevin Love.
Exactly.
That's what you want.
Exactly.
Some people, no. Don't trade Love. We don't want him. No. Why?
I think...
To me, it's dumb.
I think it's smart to get Love.
Dumb being not to get him.
Right.
Go and get Love. Proven commodity right there.
Deal Kelly Olynyk or maybe a
Oh, heaven forbid we take away one of our cores.
or a Sullinger. I don't care. Just get stability, someone who's proven himself, like Nick said.
Yep.
And Love Xavier, Jerry Schwartz, and
Yep.
Ainge are meant to have a strong relationship, and I think that there's a very high chance that
I do.
that this deal gets done tonight.
Kevin Garnett, Kevin Love. See the similarities, folks? Is this 2007 again? Well, it looks it because this was built in 2007,
Right.
So maybe it is 2007
More Love
again.
might be coming to Boston. Get ready.
So get ready for the lottery. That is tonight. We hope you enjoy that. For the series so far, we have Oklahoma City versus the Spurs. And in the Eastern Conference, we have the Heat and the Pacers. Who wins? Let's go with Oklahoma
first.
versus Spurs. Who would you like, the Thunder or the Spurs?
Spurs.
You want Spurs, okay? Chris?
My heart says Thunder. My mind says Spurs. I
can see what you're thinking there.
I really hope with my heart that the Thunder get there and Kevin Durant gets a ring. I'd love to see, looking at the Eastern Conference, Pacers and Thunder, 2 teams that are
You can
really
root for.
Yeah, and you'd be okay either or.
I can root for the Spurs. I don't have a problem with that. But Oklahoma City, I just feel like they've been waiting longer. Durant needs to get that championship. I respect Durant as a player.
I do too.
He's one of my top ones on the list. I respect Durant over LeBron. I think LeBron can be a little selfish with things. But I feel strongly with Oklahoma City. But Durant has to show up for longer than three quarters. He has to be there the whole entire game. And that's been kind of shaky the last few games I've watched there. For the Heat and Pacers, sadly, I don't see the Pacers winning. I see the Heat coming back and winning. I'd love to see the Pacers win.
Again, it's a pick with the heart. The Pacers, I'd love to see them.
Yep.
Realistically, I think the Heat. What do you think?
Heat.
You're a heater?
How so? How come?
LeBron James. Yeah, I gotta see their slam dunk. It just blows my mind out when I see his slam dunk.
I can dunk too. No, I can't.
Can you do a 360 backwards dunk, what he did once?
A what?
360 backward dunk.
We're going to wrap up our show with our face-off segment. And just so you know at home, this is how we play face-off. If the guest thinks the statement is a legit statement they agree upon, they will say fact. If the guest thinks the statement that is read is only of the opinion of the host, they can say opinion. So basically what you're trying to do is agree with me. It's kind of like stump the Schwab or beat the host in a way. You want to be able to agree with me, okay? So we're going to go with the first question that we have right here. And I have my answer already written down. So my first statement, the Red Sox will make the playoffs this year. Let's go with Stevie first. What do you think?
Do not.
You say no. Chris?
I say yes. I say they make a push for a wild card.
You can see that at home. My answer is yes. I think they will make the playoffs. Really? They'll make the
don't
playoffs?
laugh.
Yeah, I think because the American League East has been so
I'm going to
just
show you wrong.
nowhere close to being dominant. I just think that the Red Sox have a good chance of correcting themselves. Health wins out in long seasons. The Red Sox have been very healthy so far. You have health from your pitching staff, you should be good. The pitching's been pretty decent.
Right.
Hitting will come. Next statement, the Bruins will sign a top-line forward. Let's hit with Chris this time.
I don't see it happening.
Stevie?
Nope.
No. You think no?
Wait, no.
What do you think? Yes or no?
No.
You say no.
I agree.
Question 2. No. I say no.
Nick agrees.
And I have to say the reason is because of the budget. The budget.
Yeah.
So if you don't have financial flexibility with the cap, you're not going to be able to sign somebody like that. I think they're going to try and keep this team together for the most part.
And
People may not like it, but
if they re-sign a Ginla, I don't think they're going to have that cap space. And, yeah.
Statement number 3. This will be the last season for Tom Brady. We'll go to you, my friend, first. Yes or no?
Yes.
You go yes.
I'm going to say no, although I'm going to contradict myself what I said earlier in the show. I think this might be his last good year.
Okay.
I do think he'll come back beyond this year.
Okay. My answer was no. I'm saying no. The reason I'm saying no is because I feel that the Patriots may miss out on another on another Super Bowl chance, and I think Brady will still have it in him. I think he's going to play until he gets that last Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Will it be this year? I don't know. Will it be next year? We'll have to see. But he's going to fight until he thinks he's had enough, and I don't think he's had enough yet. I don't. Statement number 4. I think everybody's pretty much had the answers correct for the most part.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
You should be keeping track yourself, my friend.
Sorry.
The Celtics will get a top 3 pick in the NBA draft. We'll find out our lottery number tonight, but will they get a top 3 pick in the NBA draft? Stevie. Will it be a yes, they'll get a good pick, or a no, they'll have not a good chance?
Not a good chance.
Okay, so you're saying no.
Like you said earlier.
You're saying no.
No, but I don't think that they'll even keep the pick. I think they'll trade for Love. I agree with you.
I say yes.
Ah!
It's got the curse has to end with this whole draft thing, and I think that we'll find that the Celtics will get lucky this season.
No, they're
but I do
never.
agree with you, Chris, that I
Yeah.
believe this pick will be packaged to the Timberwolves to get Kevin Love.
Yeah.
So we kind of do agree on that.
Will that
But we need a good pick to
will
make
that
that happen.
happen after the lottery or before? Will they deal the?
Might happen before. What happened in 2007 was Garnett. That whole deal happened after the draft, so that might have
Okay.
they may have to wait and keep it,
right.
and then package together something good to
And that'll
make
give,
magic
that'll
happen.
give time to throw in some players here and there.
Sure.
So.
And then the last statement I have: the Red Sox will get a new offensive weapon in their lineup. What do you think?
Yes.
You think yes?
Absolutely.
Well, it kind of happened today. So yes, I did. All right, I put this answer together before Stephen Drew was signed. Not that he's a weapon or not, but it's help. Help is good, and hopefully the help will be nice as well. Well, I hope you enjoyed that face-off segment, and everybody pretty much agreed on the answers here, so I guess you beat me. We'll say you beat me on this one. So I lose, but maybe we'll adjust the little game that we have for future shows. In case you just joined us too at home or are wondering what the heck you're watching, this is Face the Facts. This is our sports program that we've been doing for quite a while in the surrounding communities. And we hope you enjoy it here in North Reading. And we also hope that you enjoy tuning in next time to watch another program here. Final word, Stevie. The final word is brought to you by, no, we can't do 98.5 things, but what's your final statement? Any final words for anything?
15 minutes can save you 15 cents more on car insurance. Geico.
Final words?
Go Sox.
Yeah,
That's
I think we're going to turn a corner, and we hope that happens tonight against the Blue Jays. I'm Nick Face.
Chris Millett.
Studio.
We will see you next time here on another episode of Face the Facts. Thank you for joining us, and goodbye.